Hey guys, I'm going to give you a quick walkthrough on how to remove the center console in a MK7 Golf or GTI. About a week ago I had mine removed and I did a bunch of work on the shifter assembly. And while I was doing that, I didn't really find many DIY guides or videos or how-tos on the proper way to remove it, other than some diagrams. When I reassembled everything, I had intended on making the video at that time. I thought it'd be pretty helpful, but I was so over the project and it was dark out. I just wanted to get done with it. I'll do it again today. I'm not going to remove the entire console. I don't think it's necessary to give you guys all the instructions you need, but I will tell you what needs to get done, and that's really the hardest part. When I removed mine, as soon as I figured out exactly what I needed to do, it wasn't difficult, but troubleshooting that and figuring it out on my own, it wasn't any fun. So for this project, you really don't need a lot of tools. All you're going to need: a T25 and a T30 Torx bit, and either a ratchet or a screwdriver, and then trim removal tools. Before we get started, on the left and right passenger and driver side of the car, you'll notice it looks like there's three sections to the console. This bottom part on the left and right comes off. You remove that one. The middle two sections stay attached. On the very forward end up here, there's some give. They're not quite attached, but if you follow it back, this trim piece here stays attached to the console. It looks like you can remove it, and I tried pretty hard to remove it when I took mine out, and I ended up breaking it. You might not be able to notice, but I can. I pulled pretty hard on the passenger side here, and I broke some clips. The clips do not remove. They're molded to the console. So if you try and pull them apart, you'll probably pull them apart like I did, but they will not reattach. And what I ended up doing is using some Gorilla Glue and reattaching them, and it worked, but it wasn't perfect. So do not remove this inlaid trim piece. It stays attached to the console. All right, first step: the bottom panel in the front of the console on the left and right, there's a screw. It's a T20. You want to remove that. There's one on the left and one on the right. That'll give way to this bottom panel. You probably won't be able to remove it yet until you can see behind it on the inside here where the clips are. But go ahead and remove the screw on the left and the right. After you do that, we're going to start taking these trim pieces apart on the center console. First, you want to, if you have a manual transmission, just move the shifter down as far as it can go. If you have automatic, you probably need to engage the ignition, I believe, and then bring it down as far as it'll go. The first thing you want to do after that is remove the cubby. To do so, if you've never removed any of these trim pieces, they're going to be difficult the first time you remove them. After that, they're pretty easy. Just push up, try and grab the middle here on each side, and push up, and it'll pop out. And it'll just sit loose. You really won't be able to remove it yet, but you want it to be loose. Once that's done, lower the door, and we're going to remove the trim piece around the air conditioner. To do so, just get your fingers underneath or a trim tool and give it a good pull. I've had this out several times and I've never broken a clip. You want to be careful with it, obviously, because it's plastic and can break, but it's pretty strong at the same time. And you probably won't break it. You can see on the back there's several clips. You just couldn't pull them out. Set that to the side. Now that the cubby's loose and that trim piece is out, you'll be able to remove it. You just pick it up, slide it out. You'll have your cables attached and they can stay attached. That's fine. They don't get in the way. Just move to the side. Now that you can see inside the cubby, Hang on a second, I'm gonna grab a light. All right, we got some light now. You can see inside the cubby on each side. See that metal clip and 2 plastic ones? Those are the ones that are going to release the bottom panel that we talked about earlier. There's one on each side. Can't see the one on the right, but there's one metal clip. You just pop that off, and then you can work the plastic piece down. We'll get to that in a minute. Before we go further, we need to remove the air conditioning panel itself. There are 4 pins that come out. They're kind of weird. You just pull them out like that. They should remove the bottom 2. On my car, the bottom 2 can come out if you pull them. These top 2 won't come all the way out. And these ones were a little tougher, but pull them. You get behind them. You can use a trim tool if you need to or something. Careful, they're plastic, so they can break, but they're just these pins that hold it where in position. So get a tool or something, or your fingers, and pull those top 2 out. If they come out, that's fine, but they probably won't. And then beyond those 2 pins, you have 2 more T20 screws. Take those out. That's the only thing holding the air conditioning console in. Once you have those 4 pins and 2 screws removed, there'll be 2 electrical connectors. Undo those and put that to the side. The trim piece around the screen, you may or may not have to remove it. I did. It gave me a bit more space, but you can probably get by without removing it. If you do want to remove it, you want to use your trim tool and work it around the edge all the way up and down to the bottom. There's several clips. Just work them out slowly so they don't break, and remove that. Back inside the cubby, you've got that T30 screw that looks like it's not screwed down to anything. It's just a positioning screw. You want to remove that. And then on the left and right of that bar are 2 more T20 screws. Remove all 3 of those and get that bar out of the way. Next, the trim piece around the shifter, you want to remove that. There's 2 more T20 screws. Take those 2 out, and you'll be able to pop this whole trim piece up. The boot comes up pretty easily. You just push forward in the front here, and pop that out, and then once those 2 screws are removed, you can get this whole trim piece removed. It'll release. You'll have an electrical connector for your start-stop, and one for your profile buttons over here. Remove the 2 electrical connectors. Take that trim piece out of the way. When I installed mine, or removed the console rather, I did take the shift knob off. It's easy with the BFI knob. It's just 3 set screws. You remove those screws and you can take the knob off. You can leave the shift boot attached to it. If you have the stock OEM shift knob, it's probably not going to be so easy to remove, so you might have to leave it on there, and it might make your console removal a little more difficult, but it won't be impossible. So if you can remove that, take it off. If not, just leave it there. So now you'll have your cubby removed, your AC panel will be off, and your trim piece around the shift boot will be removed from the car. What we can do next is take off the panels on the bottom left and right. So we already took the 2 screws out, one on the left and one on the right. And then again, like we talked about earlier, inside the car, you'll see that one metal clip. Let me point to it if I can, hang on. Talking about that right there, that clip. You can get behind there, use your finger or a tool, a screwdriver or something, and push up on that. And at the same time, on the outside, you want to pull down on that panel. You just pull. Once that one clip that's back here is hanging on from this panel onto the next one. So if you can remove that clip And the next thing you want to do, get your fingers down here and just yank straight down on this panel, and this bottom panel, this one right here where the seam is, will remove. It's not that difficult. And that'll leave you with these two, the only ones remaining. So do that on each side of the car, driver's and passenger side. The next thing you're going to want to work on is your e-brake. The way to remove that, this light out of the way, hang on. This panel pops off. Once that's off, there's a small metal crossbar. You just yank that out of there. Once this is off, you can remove your boot. It's easy. You just, I don't think I use the trim tool. You just use your fingers and pop this one off from the front and the back, and that'll lift this boot out of here. This seam right here where it's connected to the brake, it's kind of like a rubber band, elastic band. So once you have this piece removed, lift it up and work that band off the end of the e-brake. Your actual lever will stay attached to the car, but you want to get this boot off, this panel, and the metal clip right there. To take this panel off, just use your trim tool, stick it in there, pop it out. I'll see if I can do it real fast for you. Hang on. What you're actually going to want to do first is take this, just pull up on the leather a little bit and give it a little tug, and it'll pop out like that. And you can move it up, and then when you get to there, this is what I was talking about. This is kind of like an stretchy elastic band. Just pull it and move it out. Next is when you take this plastic piece off. You just pull up on it, it'll pop out. You can kind of, once you have it out, you can kind of see the way it works. You got these two clips go around the metal bar, and this one in the front goes underneath the console. So once that's out, you'll have this metal crossbar. You just pull up on it and it comes out. It's just kind of like a support. Another thing to take note of, which isn't really important right now, but when you do remove this console from the car, this boot will be off the e-brake, like I said, but you're going to want to have this e-brake lever pulled back as far as you can pull it, almost to the point where like you feel it's going to break, but you can just pull it very far back because your console is going to lift straight up, and it's a tight fit. So pull this back as far back as possible. And another thing you want to take caution of, use either some felt tape or a rag or something soft and wrap it around the leather on the bottom of your e-brake handle. I didn't do that, and you might be able to notice that I kind of scratched up that leather pretty badly. It's not a huge deal, but I definitely feel it every time I grab the e-brake now, which sucks. But be careful, because what's going to happen, this piece of the console will be right against the bottom of your e-brake lever, and when you're pulling it up, it'll scrape that. So either wrap the e-brake or put something soft right here so it doesn't scratch that as you remove it. Moving on, the next part that you're going to want to work on will be in the back seat. So before you do that, just move your two seats, the two front seats, all the way forward, and then move to the back of the car. All right, in the back seat, like I said, you want to move your driver's side and your passenger seat all the way forward, and then get in the back. And you'll notice that little panel on the left, there's another one on the right. Pop that panel off with your trim tool, and behind it is a T20 screw. Remove that screw. After that, you're going to want to pop off this rear panel on the console. Take your trim tool and work it along this edge on the top of the air conditioning panel. Just work it in there. Probably, I think it helped the most from the top here, but if you can get in the side, that'll work too. And once you ram it in there, it'll pop this off, and you'll be able to remove it, no problem. Behind this panel is a plastic AC pipe, which routes from the bottom of the console out to these vents. Take that pipe out of there. On the bottom of this console, or rather behind this console, right back here on the ground, are two T30 screws. So use your T30 Torx, and they're kind of hard to get to. I mean, you can see them, they'll be right there, but it'll be difficult to get a ratchet in there to give you much space. You know, you can get in there, but you'll be making pretty small turns until you can hand loose it and then take it out of there. Once those two T30 screws are removed and everything up front that we talked about, your console will be free to move. You'll be able to lift it up, and you're almost ready to take it out. Before you do that though, you'll have to remove your electrical connectors for the cigarette lighter and the 12-volt outlet in the armrest. They're kind of difficult to get to because you won't have a lot of play. You'll be able to lift the console up and get under there with your hand, but you won't be able to get completely under it. So you kind of be working in the dark, just feeling around. But this one has a clip right underneath it, and the one in the console is easy because it won't be in the armrest. It'll be right back here on the ground. So you just pull that apart with two hands. But the one, your 12-volt connector up front will give you a little bit of trouble. Once you have those two electrical connectors removed, it's time to remove the console. And this is a little tricky because it's a tight fit. But you lift up from the back. Hold on, I'm going to move back to the front of the car. All right, when it's time to remove the console, like I said, you're going to have those two T20 screws on the side of the console removed, the two T30s in the back removed. You'll have your electrical connector underneath this 12-volt socket removed. This trim piece around the shift boot will be removed. The shift boot will be hopefully removed, but if not, it'll at least be pulled up and out of the way. Inside this, your cubby will be removed. This plastic piece right here will be removed. And your two panels on the bottom of the car, this one right here underneath this seam, and the corresponding one on the other side, all those parts will be removed, in addition to your air conditioning panel, and maybe if you're lucky, if you want to remove your the trim piece around your screen, and maybe the screen too. You probably don't have to, but it would make it easier. Once all that stuff is disconnected and removed, it's time to take it out. The way I did it, like, you kind of have to just finagle it. You can lift up and sit in the driver's seat, lift up from the back of the car, the console. It'll lift straight up. It's going to disconnect at the front of the car where these seams are. This part will just slide straight down and out of the car. And then you lift up from the aft side of the console, lift it up, straight up. And what you're going to have trouble with is removing the console, getting it clear of the e-brake and clear of your shift knob. Even if you have the shift knob removed, like I did, you're still going to have that the shifter assembly, which is just a straight, like a screw straight up in the air. That's still it's gonna be a tight clearance on this opening right here. So you'll see, it'll make a lot more sense when you actually do it. But you lift up on the console, you're going to clear the e-brake through this hole and your shifter assembly through that opening. Once those two items are clear, you can lift the console all the way up, kind of move it back into the back seat, and then front out the driver's door or wherever you're taking it. But that's pretty much the gist of it. Sorry for not taking it all the way apart. Like I said, it's not difficult when you know what you're doing, but it's not something I want to do again. So please ask questions if it isn't clear. Sorry, I'm not a professional YouTuber, so I don't know if this is a good video or not. But if this helped you, I hope it helped. If it didn't, let me know. Throw a comment up there and ask me where you're having trouble at, and I'll let you know if I can help. But just be careful. Like I said, the big things are don't try and pull this trim piece off. Leave that attached, and then careful, don't scrape up the leather underneath your e-brake. But that's about it. All right, guys, good luck.